Good morning, America. Good morning if you're listening to us from, if you're based in Europe, in most parts of Africa. Good afternoon if you're in the Middle East like me. Good afternoon, good evening if you're listening to us from Asia. Welcome to our Citizenship and Residency by Investments webinar with a special focus on the USA and on the EU. So thank you very much for joining us. The agenda for today is as follows. We're going to start by introducing Holborn Assets and HolbornPass, in case you don't know who we are. We'll then have an overview of our citizenship and residency by investments, on the industry, on the different programs. And we're going to focus on the USA and the options available in the USA and also in Europe with a special focus on Portugal. We'll go through a few real estate options and then we'll open up the panel for the Q&A where Eduardo and Kaisha are going to be able to give us their legal expertise. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. I think there's a button that says either chat or Q&A. So please feel free to ask them and then we'll make sure they're all answered at the end of when the Q&A starts. So, Holborn Assets, we're a global wealth management firm established in 1998. We're headquartered here in our Dubai office where I'm currently at. We're a British family-run firm. We've got over 500 employees, 8 international offices in Europe, Middle East, Africa and Asia, and over 20,000 very happy clients, as you can see from our reviews on Trustpilot. So, HolbornPass, we're a subdivision of Holborn Assets, and we specialize in investments that have global mobility benefits. So citizenship by investment and residency by investment. And we help our clients right from the beginning, the advisory, until we hand deliver their residency permit or their passport. My name is Pablo Ostrick. I'm a partner here at Holborn Assets, responsible for our citizenship and residency by investment division. Joining us today is Kaisha Ince. Hi, Kaisha. Welcome.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening.
Yeah, very early morning for you. It's 5 a.m. there in Grenada. So thank you very much for joining us. Kaisha is a lawyer and regional director for Kimpton Kiwana Bay in Grenada. And she's also the former chairperson of the Citizenship by Investment Unit in Grenada. So again, thank you for joining us. And also Eduardo Verdeiho, thank you a lot for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. I think it's 10 a.m. there in Lisbon. Eduardo is a senior lawyer at our partner office of Martinez Echeverria Abogados there in Lisbon. So I'll be speaking for the next 20 minutes, half an hour, and then we'll open the Q&A for our legal experts, Eduardo and Kaisha. So I think a good place to start is to just define what citizenship and residency by actually is. Typically, high net worth individuals will contribute into a foreign country economy, and they'll either buy real estate, which is by far the most popular option. They might do a donation to that country to help with their economy, or they'll open a business to again create employment, or they'll invest into funds or potentially into bonds, like an example of St. Lucia. In exchange for that investment, the client will get a residency permit that allows them to live and typically work in that particular country if it's a residency by investment program. If it's a citizenship by investment program, from day one, the investor becomes a citizen with full rights and will have the passport that will allow them to either travel the world or benefit from living in that particular economy. To give a bit of context, there's about over 25 different residency and citizenship by investment programs. And since the financial crisis in 2009, the industry has really ballooned and every year moves over $21 billion in terms of foreign direct investment. This map here shows the different power that passports from countries have. So the countries in blue would have the strongest passport based on their visa-free access to other countries. So typically the European countries and the North American countries would have the strongest passport. Additionally to this, this map correlates very nicely to the most desired places or destinations for investor migrants around the world to either get a second home or get that second passport. So, North America and Europe are the most, desired destinations. And our clients typically come from Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. Now, Canada has put a halt to their investor migration program. So we're not working with Canada, but the USA and Europe still have programs that we work with. So today we're going to be focusing on the US and Europe, which are by far the most popular programs that we have. What are the reasons why a lot of our clients decide to go ahead and get this second home, the second residency, the second citizenship? The main reason is just doing what's best for their family and for their future, right? Getting a second home or passport can open up, can access better schools, better universities, better jobs, just better prospects overall. So this is, I'd say, the main driver that we see that our clients have. A second, again, quite closer to the first, is just getting that second home, that plan B, should something go wrong in their home countries. Call it maybe some geopolitical risk that might happen in the future. So having that insurance that, should something go wrong, you can move, take your family and go to your second home. Another reason a lot of people get that second passport or that residency is just the visa-free travel, which just opens up opportunities, whether it's for business or for leisure, not having to spend a month trying to get a visa, that visa getting rejected, having to disclose medical information, criminal history. It's just such a pain for a lot of citizens that come from, certain countries with a lot of travel restrictions. Just being able to access better healthcare, or maybe having that second home for retirement if you don't want to retire in your country of origin, or maybe you want to have two homes where you want to switch in between. And then finally, just from a tax perspective, in today's day and age, we can go wherever they treat us best. So if the country is taxing you too heavily and you're not comfortable with that, you can always move to a country that incentivizes you to come to their country and maybe taxes you less. So, like I said, today we're going to focus on the USA and the USA Investor Migration Programs. And the main program is called the EB-5 Immigrant Investor Visa. Now, to qualify for that program, you need to invest $1.8 million into a company in the United States that creates over 10 jobs. Or you can invest $900,000, which is by far the more popular option, in a targeted employment regional center that, again, is also creating 10 jobs. Now, this program is designed for someone who wants to relocate permanently to the USA, wants to get that green card after a couple of years, and then a passport, assuming that they comply with all the different requirements to get that after 5 years. You can include your wife, you can include kids, your spouse, kids under 21, and you have to live in the USA, and you will be taxed on your worldwide assets. Now, some of the drawbacks of this program are that the waiting time can be sometimes impossible. So you're looking at 2 to 15 years, and I appreciate it's quite a broad span, but that depends on the country that you're from. So there's 10,000 limited spaces every year for the program. There's already a backlog of 34,000 applicants still waiting to get in. And then additionally to that, there's a limited amount of spaces per country that you're coming from. So, for example, for Chinese, you're looking at a 15-year waiting time just to process the application. For Indians, you're looking at 8 years, and for Vietnamese, 7 years. So again, it really depends on the country that you're from. There is another program, which is the E2 non-immigrant investor visa, that is quite a bit more flexible than the EB-5, and again, is suitable for a different type of person, different type of client. You only have to invest between $100,000 to $200,000 into a business that you have full control of, and we can get it done within 2 months waiting time. So under this program, you're allowed to live and work anywhere in the USA. You're not going to get a passport out of it, as it's a non-immigrant investor visa. And but however, this visa can be renewed indefinitely, every 5 years until you so choose to stop. It's a lot more flexible than the EB-5. You don't have to live in the USA. You're not going to pay tax on your worldwide income. But again, you won't be getting that passport at the end of it. So, you know, the E2 is a lot better for someone who maybe doesn't have the cash for the EB5, who doesn't want to pay tax on their worldwide income, and who wants that flexibility of coming and going from the USA. So the E2, because of these reasons, is by far you know, our most popular program. And the E2 is only available for citizens of countries that have the E2 treaty with the United States. And chances are, if you're coming from you know, the Middle East, Africa, or Asia, your country will probably not have that E2 treaty with the United States. So what do? You do an intermediary step by obtaining a second citizenship with the country that does have the E2 treaty with the USA. So in this case, Grenada is our preferred partner, as it's the only Caribbean country who's has a citizenship program that has the E2 treaty with the USA. So for this reason, Grenada is by far you know, our most popular Caribbean program, and we're going to focus on obtaining that Grenadian citizenship as a stepping stone to then being able to move to the USA in 2 months. So overall, in terms of time frame, under a year is a very realistic you know, time frame, and sometimes can be done within 6 to 8 months. So I'm just going to focus now a little bit about Grenada and how we obtain that Grenadian citizenship to then get the E2 and then be able to move to the United States in 6 to 8 months. So Grenada, as you can see there in the pictures, a beautiful island located there in the southern eastern Caribbean. What we're seeing there is St. George's St. George's University, and again located in the capital in St. George's in Grenada. Grenada, also called the Spice Island because of its production of nutmeg and mace. So Grenada, like I said, is a tiny island with just over 100,000 lucky inhabitants, like Kaisha here on the call. It used to be a part of the UK, and the Queen is still the head of state. And again, it's a very peaceful country with, you know, great diplomatic relations with every country, and again, a very, very strong passport. So there is a case to just get the Grenadian citizenship on its own, regardless of you wanting the E2 or to move to the USA anyway. Now, the Grenadian citizenship program was established in 2013 and has had massive success since. Grenadian citizens can travel to 144 countries visa-free, and these include the UK, where you can potentially go for 6 months and then go out for a day and then go back for 6 months and maybe do that indefinitely, should you so choose. You can go to the EU Schengen area, to Hong Kong, Singapore, Russia, China, all visa-free. In the world that we live in, with China having a growing and you know, a lot of power in our current world, being able to access China, whether it's for business or leisure, is a great asset to have, you know, for the family in the next, you know, 50 years. Besides the numerous countries that you can visit visa-free, Grenadian citizens will almost by default get their 10-year multiple entry visa into the US, into Canada, and their 12-month e-visa into Australia. It's Grenadian passport is the 34th best passport in the world, and we can get that passport from you know, from your home, you know, from your home country. You don't have to visit Grenada. You have to go anywhere. We can get it all done within 3 to 4 months remotely. Dependent parents, grandparents, children under the age of 30, and also siblings can be included in the application, which again is for life and passed down to any unborn kids going forward. Now, the main benefit that we're focusing on today, like we said, is the fact that the Grenada has that E2 treaty with the USA. So as that stepping stone to then get you know, access to the US. Grenada can be accessed through Europe and the US through, you know, daily flights. And Grenadian citizens, again, another interesting angle, have 90% discount at St. George's University. And I think it's 95% of students at the medical university end up at a position there in the United States, working full time. And finally, the fact that Grenada's tax regime is very beneficial to investors, with no capital gains tax, no capital acquisitions tax, inheritance tax, or any sort of net worth tax. There's 2 options to qualify for the Grenadian citizenship. You can either do a donation into that country, meaning that, you know, you're giving that money to Grenada's government in exchange for that passport and for your rights, or you invest into typically a 5-star resort, you invest $220,000, and after 5 years, you can get that money back and you benefit from that rental yield over those 5 years. By far the more popular option is the real estate. Because again, you're getting most of that money back and you're benefiting from that rental yield. So, you know, for a family of 4, all fees included, the donation route, you're looking at, you know, 240,000 probably. And for the real estate option, it's just under 300,000. So, you know, the real estate, again, by far is the most popular option. I'm just going to play a video now of the real estate resort that we're partnered with in Grenada, and that we've had, you know, massive success with any of our clients who then chose to go down the E2 treaty route. I think Kaisha will correct me later, but it's 100% of the applicants, you know, that applied are now, you know, living and working in the USA. So having that title deed in Grenada really helps with then the application for the USA E2 treaty. So I'm just going to play that quick video that again explains the Grenada citizenship program. So hopefully you can all see that.
Kimpton Kawana Bay is a 5-star luxury resort in Grenada, which is located at the southern end of the Caribbean chain of islands. The island has an idyllic climate with year-round cool ocean breezes and a mean temperature of 29 degrees Celsius. Grenada boasts a strong export and tourism economy and is home to St. George's University, one of the world's largest American accredited medical schools. With daily direct flights from a number of major cities, travel is convenient and stress-free. Grenada is a safe, unspoiled tourism destination which offers beautiful forest scenery and pristine beaches. Its population is also friendly and welcoming. Kimpton Kawana Bay is ideally located on Grand Anse Beach, voted by Condé Nast Traveler as one of the world's best beaches. Kimpton Kawana Bay is currently the only CBI project in Grenada offering title deeded real estate at the approved price of $220,000 US. Suites and studios are for sale through the Grenada Citizenship by Investment program. Purchasing at Kimpton Kawana Bay provides hassle-free ownership with no annual out-of-pocket fees. Planned to open in 2020, the resort will be operated by Kimpton Hotels and Restaurants, which is part of the Intercontinental Hotels group of companies. Citizenship by investment in Grenada is a fast, efficient, and straightforward process, taking as little as 120 to 150 days to process. Grenadian citizenship provides many benefits, including visa-free travel to over 140 countries, and significant reduction of tuition fees for Grenadian citizens who reside in the country for undergraduate degrees at St. George's University. Grenada has a source-based income tax system that does not tax worldwide income, nor do you pay any wealth, gift, inheritance, or capital gains tax. There is no interview, education, language test, or management experience required, and dual citizenship is permitted. Grenada is an E2 visa treaty country with the USA, meaning approved E2 visa applicants are eligible to start a business and live in the USA with their family. Processing time for the E2 visa is usually 2 months. Citizenship by investment at Kimpton Kawana Bay is fast, financially sound, and provides global access opportunities that other CBI programs around the world simply cannot rival.
So, I mean, I know borders are opening up now, well, in Dubai on the 7th of July. I know they're different for every country, but yeah, I can't wait to go on holiday specifically after watching this video. I believe in Grenada as well, Kaisha, they've opened up, you know, the borders, and the boats are now, the yachts are now allowed to come in, right?
Absolutely. Actually, the borders open on the 1st of July, but we've been allowing the yachts to come in for almost a month now.
Wonderful, wonderful stuff. So yeah, that concludes, you know, the first half of our, you know, the US residency. And as a quick summary, you know, the main program is the EB5. But if you can't afford that and you can't afford to wait for 7 years and you don't want to pay tax on your worldwide income, but then potentially the E2 treaty, non-immigrant visa, is the best option for you. And if you come from a country in Africa, Middle East, and Asia, chances are you don't have that E2 treaty, hence why that intermediary stepping stone with Grenadian citizenship, which by itself has, you know, huge advantages, is a great way forward. So moving on now to our EU residency and how to, you know, the options available in Europe, whether it's residency or citizenship. So in this slide here, this is our country program index. This shows all the different programs that we work with here at Holborn Assets. So citizenship programs, i.e. passport programs, and residency programs, you get the residency permit, and after say 5 to 10 years, that can become a passport. So, you know, what's the quickest way to get a passport in the EU? The quickest way is via Cyprus, and you invest 2 million euros in real estate, which you can get most of that back after 5 years. You can feed all your family, and again, you have a full EU passport from day one. Now, the biggest benefit, in my opinion, of the EU passport is that even though you have one passport from Cyprus, you can actually live, work, and study in any of the 27 EU countries. So in terms of the flexibility for whether it's retirement, for education of children, or just working in Germany, Holland, France, Ireland, you name it, that is the biggest benefit, like I said, in my opinion. There's also the Malta program, which again takes just over a year and is going to change as of September. They've reached the cap of applicants, and so that's going to be changing. But again, you're looking at 1.2 million euro investment, out of which half of that is a donation. So those would be the more expensive, the only EU passports that you can purchase, again, with the space of a year. The other option is to do a residency program, which can lead to a passport after 5 to 10 years. Now, by far the most popular program is the Portuguese Golden Visa. And why is that? It's the fact that you don't have to live there for those 5 to 10 years to get that passport. In the UK, Greece, Germany, Spain, Cyprus, well, not Cyprus, you can't get the passport anyway if you live there, but you don't qualify for the citizenship scheme. But in the UK, Greece, Germany, Spain, you have to live there for 5 to 10 years, then 9 months a year to then get that passport. In Portugal, all you need to do is buy the property and maybe visit there. We'll get into how many times you need to visit there, but it's only 5 weeks in 5 years, and then you'll get your passport. So for that reason, for the commodity of not having to relocate and getting that passport after 5 years, Portugal is the most popular program. So let's dive deep a bit into Portugal. So there on your screens, you should be seeing Porto, which is the second biggest city there in Portugal. They're on the beautiful river Douro. And just as a quick summary about Portugal, I mean, I'm half Spanish, half English, and I'd love to attract investment to Spain and England. But by far, Portugal, we've got the most attractive program for investors. Why? First of all, they're an incredibly welcoming country for expats, as voted by Internations. They're the third most peaceful country in the world, having an extremely low crime rate. For the third year running, they've been voted as the best retirement destination because of the number of sunny days, the climate, the food, and again the good value that you have there for you when compared to some other programs. Any person that moves to Portugal will benefit from a 10-year non-habitual tax regime exemption that Eduardo will be able to tell us a little bit more about in just a couple of minutes. And anyone who moves to Portugal can benefit from the 12th best public healthcare system and the 16th best education system in the world. In terms of the Golden Visa, it's been going since 2012, and it's been, again, a massive success. Has brought over 5 billion euros in terms of foreign direct investment into Portugal. That image there is Lisbon, the capital there in Portugal. And Any non-EU citizens can apply as long as they don't have a criminal record. You can include your kids, your spouse and parents in the same application. We're going to go into the investment options just in a second. Real estate is by far the most popular option. Over 93% of applicants choose the real estate option. Business is also an option, but now with COVID-19, we put a halt on that. And again, that's not on the cards at the moment. And then another option is to do a fund that invests into Portuguese real estate. But again, you're looking at a 7-year horizon lock-in on that. So, you know, we're focused on the real estate options as they are the most popular. I'll get to them in just a second. So from day one, when you get the golden visa, the residency card, you can live and work in Portugal. You can travel all around the 26 Schengen states and stay, again, all around there. You can establish a business anywhere in the 26 Schengen countries in Europe. You'll benefit from the 10-year non-habitual tax regime on your worldwide income. And you'll be able to access the healthcare, education, and pension after 13 years of contributions there in Portugal. After 5 years of getting a residency card, you can request the citizenship and get your Portuguese passport. There are 2 requirements that need to be met. You need to have visited Portugal for 5 weeks in that 5-year period, so a total of 35 days, and can be done in as little as 3 trips to Portugal. And then secondly, you need to have the A2 Portuguese language level, which is a very basic level of Portuguese. Now you can either take a multiple choice test, or if you're particularly bad at languages, you can just attend a certified Portuguese language school for about a month, and then you're able to get that requirement ticked off. And you can attend that anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to be Portugal. So the Portuguese passport is the 4th best passport in the world. You can travel to 185 countries visa-free, and you can live and work anywhere in the EU. So like I said, children can, not just in Portugal, you can retire maybe somewhere in the Mediterranean. Kids, for example, can go and study in Holland, in Ireland, in France, in Sweden, some of the more popular destinations. In terms of the real estate options, so the minimum amounts to qualify for the golden visa are, if you're investing into a new build property, you have to invest €500,000 from your own money, and anything additional to that, we can get financing there in Portugal. The second option, reduced to €350,000, is if you invest into a building that's been refurbished, that's 30 years or older. And the third option is if you invest into a building that's 30 years or older, that's been refurbished, that's in a low density area, i.e. less than 100 inhabitants per square kilometre. Now at Holborn, we have options for the three programs, or the 3 investment amounts, and I'll just get to those shortly. There in the image is one of Portugal's prime real estate, is the castle of Pina Palace. But again, that obviously isn't for sale. It's just a nice example of some prime real estate. Okay, so the first option for the €500,000 option that we're partnered with is the Hyatt Regency there in Lisbon. The investor has full ownership of their hotel apartment, but they sign a 20-year agreement in terms of the lease or the rental with Hyatt. Hyatt guarantees them a minimum 3% investment, but again, it's expected to get 5 to 6% per year, depending on how the hotel performs. Again, a 5-star resort. The owner can come and stay though for 4 weeks per year. Again, all geared for that golden visa buyer who doesn't want the hassle of having to rent things out or worry about their property, etc., etc. Now, prices start at 680,000 for a 1-bed, 1 million for a 2-bed, and 2.5 million for a 3-bed. The investor just needs to come up with that $500,000, and we can get, say, the other $500,000 with financing available. So investor will benefit from that capital appreciation, a guaranteed rental yield, and again, being able to leverage the returns through a mortgage. So this will be our first option for the €500,000 minimum requirement. Our most popular program is the Renaissance by Marriott in Porto. It's right in the center of one of the historic center of Porto, one of the last few plots available for construction in Portugal. The hotel, as you can see at the bottom, is a stunning hotel. It's going to be the biggest business hotel there in Portugal. And the developer gives you a buyback guarantee in year 5 when you get your passport. So again, all geared to golden visa buyers. You hold the investment for 5 years. When you get your passport back, you also get your money back. So you won't benefit from capital appreciation or from capital depreciation. You have the security, and you also get a 3% rental yield guaranteed for the years that you have the investment. Additionally to that, you can stay for that 1 week per year free stay to again qualify for the passport in year 5. The last option that we have is for the €280,000 option. It's a refurbishment of a building there in Amarante. Amarante is a beautiful town in Portugal, and they're the same developer as the Marriott. That again, we're very, very comfortable with them as a developer. Been for 30 years, done over $2 billion in terms of projects. So again, they offer the same buyback guarantee. And, after 5 years, when you get your passport, again, you get your money back. This is perfect for someone who isn't that bothered about investing in the Portuguese real estate, just wants to get their passport as cost effective as possible for them and for their family. So finalizes just the 2 presentations on the USA and on EU, and on the most popular programs for both of these options. So I'm just going to open up now the floor to Kaisha and to Eduardo. Thank you again, both of you, for joining us today. Anyone who's got any questions, I see there's already a few coming, and we've had some coming before. Please ask them there on the Q&A on the Q&A button. Someone else a lot of questions. Okay, so I'll start with, okay, so first question, what are the differences between someone's rights as a citizen by investment and someone who was born in that country? So let me ask first to Eduardo. What would you say are the differences by someone who's acquired a nationality to someone who was born there?
None. In terms of investment, I would say none. Once you get the passport, once you get the nationality, mainly regarding the golden visa, because the other one is not that simple. But regarding the golden visa, after the 5 years investment, you obtain the nationality, the citizenship, the Portuguese citizenship. So it gives you full rights as if you were, as me, as a Portuguese from origin. So no differences.
Perfect. Okay, so yeah, just a citizen as any other. Kaisha, what about for you?
There are no differences either with the Grenada citizenship by investment. The only little thing is that in order to be able to vote, there is a residency requirement. So 3 months before the election is due, the person should be resident, and that's only if they wish to vote. Otherwise, there are no differences. Okay, and again, the next question they're asking is, other external authorities, would they know that the passport was obtained through an investment, or would they have any knowledge of that, or do they just see a passport regardless of how it was obtained? No, there's no distinction on the passport. They don't know. Okay, perfect. Eduardo,
same here.
Again, at the end of the day, it's a passport, and if anything, you're contributing probably more than most citizens into that country, right? Because some people, you're just born there, right? That's just luck of the draw compared to actually investing or donating into that economy. Are there any risks, do you think? I think Kaisha, this is aimed at you, of the EU or other countries revoking visa-free movement to passports? And I know the Caribbean has a great relationship, or the Association of the Eastern Caribbean States, with the EU, and talks to them all the time to make sure that this is maintained, throughout. So what are the risks, do you think, of that happening? Any risk that there may be, it's mitigated certainly by Grenada
are doing very intensive levels of due diligence. And this is necessary really to maintain the integrity of the passport, so that the other countries, like, as you said, the EU and the UK, once they know that the due diligence has been done, once the passport is issued, they're pretty comfortable with our due diligence procedures. So the risk is quite low.
Yeah. And you know, they're asking if you can keep your Grenada and your current passport, and also for Portugal, that again, both countries allow that dual citizenship, so there's no need to renounce to your passport of origin. The next question is if Grenada informs of you know, the new citizen to any other countries, or is it confidential?
It's confidential.
Very confidential. Yeah. Okay. So thank you to you know, who asked all of that. Next question from Jason: if buying a new build in Portugal, what is the minimum deposit required, and will the GV still be granted if not paying 500,000 in cash? So Eduardo, this one is for you.
Yes, or cash or not, the investment has to be made in order to be considered an eligible investment to obtain the golden visa. So you can buy the minimum investment is 500,000 euros. So you can pay this as a deposit in the promissory contract. Of course, the amount of the asset can be higher, but I would say that the minimum is that amount. In the most popular golden visa program, I would say the others are quite difficult now to obtain. But in relation to the most popular, it's the 500,000 euros. You can buy. It has to be the minimum as a deposit or as the full amount of the property.
Gotcha. So the money that goes into Portugal needs to be 500,000. It doesn't really matter too much, again, as long as they're obtained by legal methods.
Of course.
Coming from a bank account or where it's coming from, but that has to come into your Portuguese bank account.
Yes. No. The thing is, in cash, there is always you always have to fulfill one condition. The cash must come to a Portuguese bank. Okay, and the Portuguese bank has to be declared as a bank, as a credible bank in Portugal, and it has to be accompanied with a declaration saying that this amount will go is meant to buy a real estate property in Portugal. So of course you cannot do it with a cash. You have to. I mean, you can come with the cash, but the cash will have to go to a bank, and the bank will have to issue that declaration.
Yeah. So cash, I meant in a bank. Okay. Next question for you, Eduardo. There's been in February, I believe there's either a new budget or a new law passed in Portugal that was going to change or modify the golden visa. And the government, the new government was saying that come January 2021, you will no longer be able to invest in Porto and Lisbon or the coast. So you'd have to invest into less popular, less successful real estate markets. I just wanted to clear what's happening there. If someone wants the certainty to invest in Porto and Lisbon, by when do they need to get their application in? Yeah, over to you.
I would say the sooner the better. Yes, absolutely. In January, the government was allowed the Portuguese government is now allowed to issue I would say a cancellation of new visas in the Porto and Lisbon region. We have to say that Porto and Lisbon are the most popular regions for the golden visa, where effectively the investment is the best and worth it. So I would say that if you intend to come to Portugal and to have a very good investment in Lisbon and Porto, you have to do it now, because we absolutely don't know what can happen in the next few months. One thing is certain, that the government from one day to another is allowed to say that in Porto and Lisbon, from the end of the year, no new visas will be issued. This causes quite a big problem, because it's less attractive to make an investment out of these two important cities, of course.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So, when would you say would be the deadline? Again, if you want to make sure that you can invest in these cities, because you need to have submitted it before to CEF. So, you know, I heard that maybe August as a limit.
Yes, August, because it will take time, of course, to process the golden visa apply. So I would say maximum, I would say now or until August.
Okay, all right. Fine. Another question that has come through is for Grenada and accessing the US, Kaisha. So we know now with Trump, and you know, who knows if he's going to get reelected. I have a gut feeling that he will, because everything is against him. You know, he gets it again. So. You know, if he gets re-elected, and we already know that he's changed some of the migration policies, he's changed a few of them, specifically for Nigerians and Eritreans and some other countries. Can Trump change the E2 treaty and you know, potentially you know, not allow immigrant investors to move to the USA?
Well, the short answer is not easily. First of all, it is a treaty. This was put into place between the USA and Grenada in 1983, and it requires Congress to actually revoke the treaty. So not easily.
Understood. Okay, so I think we're safe for now then, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, some other questions. Okay, so for Portugal, someone's asking if there's a buyback guarantee on the Hayat option. And the answer is no. You just invest, you own the apartment, and you'll benefit from the capital appreciation, and you know, keep that going, and you can sell after 5 years. For the Portugal Golden Visa, you have to keep that investment for those 5 years until you get your the passport. For the Amarante, so the €280,000 option, there's no rental yield, but again, you're only investing 280,000 and you're getting that back. It's not the best investment, but it's the most cost-effective way to get that the passport. Okay, any other questions? For Grenadian passport, can you get access to Canada? And yeah, we'll start with that. And can that money be refunded? I'll answer the refunded question. You know, once you get your passport, you know, that's it. That cannot be refunded. In terms of giving access to Canada, what are the options for someone who has a Grenadian passport to access Canada?
While there is no visa-free access for Canada, you can certainly apply for the visa, and Canada, you tend to get a 10-year visa for Canada. And that question about, is the money paid refundable? Well, in terms of citizenship, if you do the real estate investment, then you can get your money back after 5 years.
Right, and you'll have benefited from that rental yield for
exactly.
Right? Okay. Okay, now another question that came through was for Eduardo regarding the non-habitual tax regime in Portugal. So, if you could just tell us the benefits really of anyone who's you know, potentially looking to relocate, maybe for retirement, or just moving to Portugal for the first time.
Well, I would say that the non-habitual tax residency was established as a federal tax regime, and it's applied especially for pensions, so for pensioners, for retirees. So in this situation, for retirees that fulfill all the necessary requirements, you have a 10%. Maximum of a 10% tax rate applicable in your incomes. So that's why we had this kind of tsunami of European people coming, especially the French. When you know that the incomes in France are taxed until 49%, and coming to Portugal and have it taxed until only 10%, it's quite interesting. This was changed. Before there was an exemption, a full exemption on the pensions, but it has to be changed since the non double tax agreements. They predicted to have a non double tax. So, and in this case there was an exemption. So Portugal had to change a little bit things, and now we are in the 10%.
Amazing, yeah. I mean, I'm in Dubai where there's no income tax at all, but moving to Europe and having to pay 40, 50% tax compared to 10% is
exactly.
Okay. Any other questions that come up? I've had a common question that's asked to me is, the Portuguese citizenship, does it really become a passport? So it's a residency program, but do you really get a passport at the end of it?
No, you get a permanent residency. It's a card, and you get a permanent residency after 5 years. But the thing is, after 5 years, you can apply for citizenship. And in that case, you will obtain a passport. So at the beginning, no, because it's a residency for 2 years, for 1 year, then 2 years, then 2 years again, and you fulfill the first 5 years. In these first 5 years, after the first 5 years, you get the permanent residency, so it's a card, okay. But if you decide to apply for the citizenship, you will have a passport as everyone.
And how many success stories have you had, or has Portugal had, of obtaining that actual passport at the end of it, which is what a lot of people want?
Well, I would say we're coming now to up to the first golden visas. We are coming up now to the situation where we have to apply for the citizenship. For the numbers we have here is 100% success, because it arises from the law, and of course you cannot sell the product golden visa saying that 5 years after you will have the citizenship, and then you don't have it. But the thing is, until now everyone had it, so I would say 100% success.
Perfect. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so for Portugal, another question for Portugal. For the option of the 350,000 investment into a fund, that's there's a couple of funds available. They're more like a private equity fund that's investing in certain Portuguese assets. And again, you're really at the mercy of the fund manager and their expertise in selecting, good investments. The one that we work with, you have to keep that money locked in for 7 years, and again, you'll get that back after the 7 years. So potentially, it could be interesting for someone who maybe has a lot of exposure to real estate and wants to, invest in something slightly different. Any other questions? Another question for Kaisha. What success rate have you had with anyone who's successfully got the Grenadian citizenship, who has then looked to move to the United States? What success rate have you had with these kind of clients?
Certainly, Pablo. With the investment into real estate, into Kawana Bay, in fact, specifically the Kawana Bay investment, persons who invest in Kawana Bay and who have gone on to apply for the E2, there's been a 100% success rate so far, approval rate so far. So okay. We're very thankful for that. I think it's important to note that if your intention is to relocate to the US, then the quickest way to do this is through, Grenada citizenship, because the time involved is under 8 months. So you can realistically relocate to the US within 8 to 9 months.
So what's the process for that? So say, just as a bit of a summary, so of obtaining the Grenadian citizenship and then the E2 visa.
Right. So Grenadian citizenship takes approximately 3 to 4 months for approval. You know, as you mentioned, you don't have to visit. It's a documentation-based system where you basically provide all your documents, you fill out the forms, supporting documents. Of course, you must not have a criminal record, and you choose your option, whether it is donation or the real estate option. But if, and I'm stressing, if it is your intention to go to the US, then you will want to invest in the real estate option, because it gives you that linkage with Grenada that the US visa officer will want to see. As I said, the process for Grenada citizenship takes 2 to 3 months. Notwithstanding the pandemic, you know, Grenada is accepting applications online. And once citizenship is approved, you can then apply for the E2. And the E2 process takes approximately 2 months.
Okay. And for the E2, you just have to open up a business there in the USA. And, you know, for someone who maybe, you know, wouldn't know what to do, you know, what kind of business can they open, or what are the most likely ones to get approved?
So the E2 visa is very flexible. First of all, there are actually no minimum requirements in relation to the investment amount for the US. We recommend between $100,000 and $200,000. The visa allows you to basically invest in a business, in any type of business, anywhere in the US. There are no restrictions. Again, it allows the visa holder to own, operate a business, live and work in the US. And of course, the spouse can live and work in the US without any restrictions whatsoever. And children under the age of 21 are eligible for in-state tuition. The business, in terms of the business, you can invest in a new or existing business, and ownership must be at least 50%. Okay.
Understood. And it could be, I mean, what are the most popular? Would it be like a coffee shop, for example, or some kind of franchise, or again, a tech company? Depends.
Coffee shop, franchise, real estate, it's wide variety.
Understood. Okay, we've got some other questions here for you, Kaisha. For the Kawana Bay, is there a buyback, first of all, after 5 years?
It could be, look, it's not strictly a buyback. What you can do is after 5 years, after you've held the investment for 5 years, it's eligible to be sold to somebody else who wants citizenship. And that's how you get back your main investment amount.
Gotcha. And in terms of visa-free access into the EU and the UK, can they conduct a business meeting, for example, when they're on holiday? They can?
Yes,
okay.
They can.
Perfect. So, yeah, so you can go for tourism or business. It's kind of just up to you. You just got visa-free access to the UK, to Europe. Up to you what you
yes.
what you want to do.
And for the UK, it's 6 months, and for the EU, it's 3 months in terms of your stay.
Perfect. Very good. Anyone else got any other questions? I think we're coming up to the hour mark. So I don't know if anyone else has got any questions. Again, thank you for attending our webinar. I hope it was useful. It added value to all of you. Please feel free to reach out to me, or to Kaisha, or to Eduardo with any other questions. And we can any other private Zoom calls, which we'll have to do for the moment until you know, COVID allows us. Maybe a last question actually for Eduardo, because I did ask Kaisha. For Portugal, what's going on with the borders there? Are they open? Can you travel to Portugal?
Well, I would say yes, because we've been receiving clients from abroad. Normally from the 1st July on, everything will be official, but non-officially right now, I can tell you that everyone is already able to travel to our country.
Understood. Because for the Portugal process, you need to go at least once to Portugal. If you started your application today, maybe you have to go in, say, I don't know, in 4 months to do your biometrics with CEF. So, by September or October.
Absolutely.
There's absolutely no issues on that front. And also, I believe, Grenada and Portugal have had great success in terms of mitigating the cases of COVID-19, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Absolutely. We're quite good. We're in Europe. We are absolutely quite good. We were one of the first countries to mitigate the virus. So I mean, the result is you already see in the street a lot of tourists. I think the trust is coming back, and that's a great thing for everyone.
Wonderful. And same. I mean, you being an island, have been quite, relatively closed off. How many cases do you have, Kaisha, there?
So Grenada's had 18 cases, and there haven't been any new cases in a month. In fact, Grenada's lockdown restrictions have been lifted, and and there were no deaths either. So very well controlled and managed.
Yeah, I heard there's quite a bit of demand for people looking for like an anti-pandemic solution in the future. Having the Grenadian citizenship, you can just move there and just stay in the island. Should the whole world?
We're pretty safe. We're pretty safe, and our health system is excellent as well.
Brilliant. Okay, so I think that concludes all the questions that have been asked for today. So again, thank you everyone for attending. Thank you, Kaisha and Eduardo, and
you're welcome.
I hope you all have a great day.
Okay.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah.